Has the most obedient Duggar daughter finally escaped? These leaked photos of Jana roaming Europe has Jim Bob losing his mind. That's right, grab your tea and get comfortable because today on Jenny Expose, we are diving deep into the biggest, most shocking scandal to hit the Duggar compound in Tontitown, Arkansas all year. We are currently in late 2026, and if you have been paying close attention to the Duggar family's digital footprint, or rather the sudden, deafening lack thereof, you already know that something extremely bizarre is going on. Jana Duggar, the perpetual sister mom, the family Cinderella, the one daughter who was supposed to remain forever loyal to Jim Bob and Michelle's incredibly strict patriarchal rules, has completely vanished from social media. But she hasn't just gone quiet. Oh no. According to the latest exclusive theories and jaw-dropping rumors tearing through the reality TV and snark communities online, Jana hasn't just taken a digital detox. She has allegedly taken a physical flight across the Atlantic, alone. Before we unpack the leaked photos, the Reddit theories, and exactly why Jim Bob is reportedly absolutely losing his grip on reality over this, I need you to do something for me. If you want Jana to finally live her best, free life, and if you love getting the absolute juiciest, most unfiltered reality TV tea, hit that subscribe button right now. Make sure you smash the like button to appease the YouTube algorithm and turn on those notification bells so you never miss an update here on Jenny Expose. We are building the best community of reality TV sleuths on the internet, and you definitely want to be part of this family. A family with way fewer rules than the Duggars, I promise. All right, let's get into the timeline of the ultimate Duggar disappearance. To understand the gravity of this situation, we have to look at Jana's typical behavior. For years, Jana has been the designated peacekeeper. Whenever there's a scandal, and let's be real, with this family, there is a major scandal every another Tuesday. Jana is usually the one trotted out to show a smiling face. She posts a perfectly curated Instagram reel of a home renovation, a garden tour, or a wholesome family gathering to distract the public. She has always been Jim Bob's ultimate PR shield. Look at Jana, the narrative goes. She's happy, she's thriving, she loves her life at the big house. But lately, crickets. Total and utter radio silence. We noticed the shift starting a few months ago. Her posts became less frequent. Then, her stories completely stopped. No more updates on her latest greenhouse project. No more videos of her wrangling the younger kids or the nieces and nephews. Fans and snarkers alike began sounding the alarm on Reddit and TikTok. At first, I thought maybe she was just busy, but as the weeks turned into months, here in late 2026, the silence became impossible to ignore. And then, the picture dropped. A few days ago, an anonymous tipster dropped a bombshell photo into one of the biggest Duggar snark forums on Reddit. At first glance, it's just a blurry photo of a brunette woman pulling a sleek, silver rolling suitcase through what looks like an international departure gate. But Duggar sleuths are a different breed, you guys. They zoomed in. They enhanced the contrast. They cross-referenced every detail. Let's break down the clues in this photo that have the internet convinced that this is absolutely, without a doubt, Jana Duggar. First, look at the hair. It's that signature, long, sweeping brunette style, but it looks a little different, almost like it hasn't been styled for a strict church service, but rather thrown back for a long-haul flight. Second, the posture. If you've watched 19 Kids and Counting or Counting On, you know the girls have a very specific way of carrying themselves. But here is the absolute kicker, the detail that sent the snark community into an absolute meltdown. Look closely at what she is wearing. That is not a floor-length denim skirt. That is not a modest, knee-covering dress. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman in this photo is wearing pants. Tailored, comfortable, dark-colored travel pants. For anyone else in the world, wearing pants to the airport is just common sense. But for a Duggar woman who has lived under Jim Bob's roof for over 3 decades, wearing pants in public is nothing short of a full-blown declaration of independence. The tipster who uploaded the photo claimed they took it at the Atlanta International Airport, right outside a gate boarding for a direct flight to Amsterdam, and eventually connecting to other parts of Europe. The caption on the leaked post simply read, Looks like the oldest sister finally sprouted wings. Of course, we have to remember these are theories and internet investigations, but the puzzle pieces are fitting together so perfectly that it's almost terrifying. Fans have been cross-referencing old travel photos of Jana. Do you guys remember years ago when she went on a trip with Laura DeMazy, or when she tagged along on her siblings' honeymoons? Those photos always show Jana looking slightly wistful, always a chaperone, never the main character of her own life. Sleuths are now convinced those old trips weren't just vacations, they were scouting trips. She was learning how to navigate airports, how to handle passports, how international travel works, all while under the guise of being the helpful sister. So if Jana really did pack up her bags, put on a pair of forbidden pants, and board a flight to Europe completely solo, what exactly is happening back in Tontitown? According to exclusive chatter from local sources and insiders loosely connected to the family's church circle, the mood at the big house is absolutely chaotic. Jana Duggar is reportedly losing his mind. And let's be honest, we all know why. Jana thrives on control. His entire empire, his wealth, and his status in his fundamentalist community rely heavily on his ability to keep his family perfectly in line. He has already lost control of Jill, who wrote a bombshell tell-all book. He lost Ginger, who moved to California and wrote her own book dismantling their childhood teachings. He's seen his eldest son go to federal prison, completely destroying the family's television legacy. Through all of those absolute nightmares for Jana was his rock. She was the anchor. As long as Jana was still at home, sleeping in the girls' dormitory, managing the household, and obeying his commands, Jana could still pretend his patriarchal system worked. He could say that Jana was still there, so the system wasn't broken. But if Jana has left, the entire facade crumbles. Who is going to run the house? Who is going to manage the massive garden? Who is going to organize the family functions? But more importantly, from a psychological standpoint, Jana is terrified of what she might say or do now that she's outside of his sphere of influence. Rumors are swirling that when Jana discovered Jana was actually gone, he was pacing the halls of the compound, furiously making phone calls to church elders and trying to figure out a way to spin the narrative before the mainstream media catches wind of it. He cannot afford another public defection. The idea of Jana, his most loyal soldier, wandering the streets of Paris or Rome without a chaperone, experiencing the world without his filter, is Jana's ultimate nightmare. But this massive, earth-shattering theory brings up a gigantic, glaring question. A question that has stumped reality TV fans for years. Let's say this photo is real. Let's say Jana is currently sipping an espresso at a cafe in Europe, completely free from the watchful, controlling eyes of her father. How on earth did she afford it? We all know the dark truth about the Duggars' finances. Thanks to Jill's brave revelations and the ongoing lawsuits over the years, the public knows that Jana essentially hoarded the TLC reality show money. The kids were not paid fairly, if at all, for their years of on-camera labor. They were treated as volunteers for their father's production company. Jana, being unmarried and living at home, theoretically shouldn't have access to the kind of massive funds required to book last-minute international flights, secure European accommodations, and fund a secret, solo escape across the world. If she is cut off from the family bank account, how did she pull this off? Does she have a secret sponsor? Has she been squirreling away cash from her own side hustles? Or did someone on the inside help her? The answer to how Jana got the money is even more shocking than the escape itself. The fan theories point to a highly organized, deeply secret financial web that has been operating right under Jana's nose for years. And you will not believe which of her siblings allegedly bankrolled this entire operation to get her out. In the IBLP cult that the Duggars follow, women are not supposed to have financial independence. They fall under the umbrella of authority. First, it's their father, and then it's their husband. Since Jana never married, Jana has remained her financial and spiritual umbrella well into her 30s. We all know Jana is notorious for keeping a vice-like grip on the family's purse strings. He controls the real estate, he controlled the TLC contracts, and he controls the compound. So how does a woman who supposedly has no money of her own buy a transatlantic ticket and fund a European tour? Well, the internet sleuths have been digging deep into public records, old social media posts, and LLC filings, and the theories they've uncovered are absolutely mind-blowing. According to these deep-dive Reddit investigations, Jana hasn't just been sitting around braiding hair and planting tomatoes for the last decade. She has been quietly, methodically hustling. Do you guys remember a few years ago when Jana started her own LLC? She had that business, Arbor Acres. At the time, Jim Bob paraded it around as a cute little hobby for his spinster daughter, a way for her to do some landscaping and interior design while staying safely tucked away at home. But fans are now theorizing that Arbor Acres was actually a Trojan horse. While Jim Bob thought she was just buying throw pillows and potting soil, some believe Jana was secretly taking on private client work, flipping smaller properties, and funneling a percentage of those profits into a quiet, separate bank account. And that's not all. Jana is arguably the most recognizable Duggar daughter who remained on good terms with the family until now. Brands wanted her. Over the last few years, before her sudden digital disappearance, she did a few selective sponsored posts. Fans theorize that while Jim Bob might have demanded a cut of her influencer earnings, Jana was smart enough to skim off the top. She was playing the long game. She knew that to escape, she needed a war chest. Every home renovation, every sponsored Instagram story about a skincare routine, it was all pennies in the escape fund. But let's be real. Skimming a little off the top of brand deals might buy you a ticket, but it doesn't buy you total financial freedom or the legal protection you need to vanish from Jim Bob's radar. To pull off an escape of this magnitude, Jana needed serious help. She needed accomplices. And this is where the story goes from a simple runaway tale to a full-blown Duggar sibling rebellion. If we look at the Duggar family tree today in 2026, the lines have been heavily drawn. You have the loyalists still living on Jim Bob's dime, and you have the defectors. The two biggest, loudest defectors are, of course, Jill Dillard and Ginger Vuolo. Both have written explosive tell-all books. Both have completely dismantled the teachings of their childhood. And both have secured their own bags, completely independent of their father. According to exclusive chatter in the snark community, Jill and Ginger are the alleged masterminds behind Jana's great European escape. Think about it. Jill's husband, Derek Dillard, is a lawyer. If anyone knows how to navigate the legal loopholes of Jim Bob's financial control, it is Derek. The theories suggest that Derek may have helped Jana secretly open an offshore account or a private trust that Jim Bob legally couldn't touch or even see. Meanwhile, Ginger and her husband Jeremy, living out in California with their media connections, reportedly helped coordinate the logistics. Fans believe that Ginger and Jill essentially created a sister stash, a pooled fund designed specifically to bail out any sibling who wanted out of the cult. Because they know exactly how hard it is to leave with nothing. They had to fight for their own scraps, and they weren't about to let their big sister walk out into the world empty-handed. But the sibling involvement gets even crazier. We have the money, and we have legal advice. But how did she physically leave the compound without raising alarm bells? Jim Bob has eyes everywhere in Tontitown. Enter the twin connection. John David Duggar, Jana's twin brother. Now, John David has traditionally played by the rules, mostly staying out of the intense drama. He runs his emergency rescue operation. He flies planes. But the twin bond is notoriously strong. Reddit investigators have pieced together flight logs from local Arkansas airstrips, and they noticed something very, very interesting around the exact time Jana's social media went dark. A small private plane registered to a Duggar-affiliated LLC made a very quiet, unscheduled flight from a small regional airport in Arkansas to a private airfield just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Let that sink in. Where was that blurry, leaked photo of Jana taken? The Atlanta International Airport. The reigning theory is that John David, using his privileges as a male Duggar and a pilot, told Jim Bob he was just doing a routine maintenance flight or moving some equipment. Instead, he smuggled his twin sister out of Arkansas, entirely bypassing the commercial airports where locals might recognize her and tip off Jim Bob. He flew her straight to Atlanta, dropped her off, and let her walk into the international terminal to catch that flight to Europe. If this is true, John David committed the ultimate act of treason against his father's empire to save his sister. So, she has the secret funds. She has the legal protection of Derek. She has the financial backing of Jill and Ginger. She has the getaway plane piloted by her own twin brother. She lands in Europe. Where is she going? The rumors are wild, you guys. The leaked flight from Atlanta was reportedly headed to Amsterdam, which is a massive international hub. But sleuths don't know I think she stayed in the Netherlands. Amsterdam is just a gateway. Some fan theories suggest she has made her way to Italy. Let's look at the clues. Back in her Pinterest days, long before the family locked down their social media, Jana used to pin travel photos of the Amalfi Coast, Italian architecture, and Tuscan gardens. We all know she is obsessed with gardening and interior design. What better place to finally breathe, experience culture, and reinvent herself than in the rolling hills of Italy? Other sleuths argue she might be in the UK, studying horticulture or taking professional design classes. Can you imagine? Jana Duggar, free from the heavy, suffocating denim skirts, walking through London or Florence in tailored pants, sipping a cappuccino, and studying something she is actually passionate about. Just for herself? No toddlers hanging off her hips, no Jim Bob barking orders, just pure, unadulterated freedom. It's the ultimate Cinderella story, only Cinderella didn't need a prince to save her. She used her own covert savings and her rebellious sisters to buy a plane ticket. But as amazing as this sounds, we have to remember the dark reality of the situation back home. Jim Bob Duggar is not a man who lets things go. He views his family as his property. A defection like this, especially from the daughter who was supposed to be the shining, obedient example for the rest of his life, is a devastating blow to his ego and his authority. If he finds out that Jill, Ginger, and John David were involved in this elaborate extraction plan, the fallout is going to be biblical. We are talking about potential excommunication, fierce legal battles, and a complete fracturing of whatever is left of the Duggar family structure. Insiders say the atmosphere at the compound is like a pressure cooker right now. Jim Bob is allegedly demanding access to phones, interrogating the younger siblings, and trying to trace the money. He is desperate to find out where she is and drag her back before the mainstream press gets a hold of the story. Now, let's answer the question everyone has been begging to know. Why now? Why, after 36 years of total obedience, enduring endless chores, parenting a dozen siblings, and acting as the loyal poster child for the IBLP, did Jana finally decide that enough was enough? According to whispers circulating in the Arkansas community and theories running rampant across the Duggar snark universe, the trigger was an ultimatum from Jim Bob himself. Over the last couple of years, the Duggar empire has been rapidly disintegrating. The hit television contracts are gone forever, legal fees have drained family reserves, and Jim Bob's political aspirations have completely collapsed. He realized he was running out of leverage, running out of obedient adult children, and running out of ways to control the family assets. The theory goes that in mid-2026, Jim Bob attempted to execute one final, permanent power play. He allegedly presented Jana with legal documents to bind her assets, her land rights, and her business LLCs permanently under a new family trust, one that gave him total, lifelong control over her earnings. On top of that, rumors allege that Jim Bob was quietly pushing for an arranged courtship with an ultra-strict conservative widower within their inner church circle. He wanted Jana locked down under a new umbrella of authority before she could ever get the courage to walk away. Think about the psychological weight of that for a moment. For nearly 4 decades, Jana gave up her youth, her privacy, her autonomy, and her dreams to raise her younger siblings and protect the family image. And the reward her father allegedly prepared for her was a permanent lifetime sentence of total subjugation. That was the breaking point. Sleuths believe that when those papers were placed in front of her, Jana realized she had 2 choices: sign her freedom away forever, or pack her bags, tap into her secret funds, call her trusted siblings, and make a run for the border. She chose the plane ticket. And what about the fallout back in Tontitown? It is nothing short of catastrophic. For the first time in Duggar history, Jim Bob Duggar has zero control over the narrative. In the past, whenever a daughter stepped out of line, he had PR agents, TV producers, and carefully staged interviews to spin the story. But now, there are no cameras. There is no TLC paycheck to dangle over anyone's head. Local reports allege that Jim Bob has been in nonstop crisis meetings with IBLP elders, desperately trying to figure out how to explain Jana's total absence without exposing the truth, that even his most devout, loyal child couldn't stand living under his regime anymore. And what about Michelle? Rumors claim Michelle Duggar is completely caught in the middle. On one hand, she has lived by the cult's absolute submission rules for over 40 years. On the other hand, Jana was essentially Michelle's co-mother. Jana carried the emotional and physical burden of raising those kids when Michelle was overwhelmed. Losing Jana means Michelle is suddenly left facing the reality of a quiet, empty compound where the cracks in the foundation can no longer be painted over with a sweet whisper and a smile. Meanwhile, inside the house, the younger Duggar daughters, Johanna, Jennifer, Jordan, and Josie, are watching all of this unfold in real time. They saw Jill break out. They saw Ginger escape to California. And now they have witnessed their primary caretaker, their sister mom, Jana, boldly boards a plane to Europe. That is the biggest consequence of Jana's escape. It sends an unmistakable, empowering message to every single younger sibling still trapped behind those gates that escape is not just a fantasy. It is 100% possible. The illusion of Jim Bob's absolute power has been shattered forever. While Jim Bob is allegedly stewing in his compound surrounded by lawyers and panic, what is Jana actually doing across the ocean? According to European travel sleuths and internet theorists, sightings suggest she is taking her time, moving through scenic towns in southern Europe, exploring botanical gardens, sketching architecture, and experiencing what it feels like it just exists. Without a microphone clipped to her collar, without a camera crew documenting her every move, without a chaperone hovering 2 feet behind her, making sure her thoughts stay pure. Imagine the feeling of waking up in a boutique hotel in Florence or Paris, looking out a sunlit window and realizing that for the first time in your entire life, nobody is going to tell you what to wear, what to think, or when you are allowed to speak. Whether she stays abroad for 6 months, takes specialized design courses, or eventually settles down far away from Arkansas like Ginger did, one thing is completely crystal clear. The obedient, quiet girl from 19 kids and counting is gone. The woman who stepped onto that plane in late 2026 is someone who finally claimed ownership of her own story. And honestly, if all of these theories hold up, it is the most well-deserved victory lap in reality television history. Now, at the end of the day, we have to remind ourselves that until Jana steps in front of a camera herself and speaks her truth, these are the hottest theories, leaked clues, and insider whispers circulating through our community. But as we've seen time and time again with the Duggar family, where there is smoke, there is usually a roaring, uncontrollable fire. We will be monitoring social media, flight logs, and public filings like hawks, and the second a new photo, an official family statement, or a response from Jim Bob drops, you know you will hear it right here first on Jenny Expose. Now, I want to hear from you because the comment section on our channel is where the real detective work happens. Do you think Jana finally got her freedom? Let me know below. Tell me, do you believe the leaked Atlanta photo really is Jana? Do you think John David flew her out, or did she manage this whole getaway on her own? And how do you think Jim Bob is going to try to spin this to his followers? Drop your wild theories, your snark, and your honest predictions in the comments down below. I am reading and hearing every single one of them. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way down to the comments, share this video with your fellow Duggar-watching friends, and subscribe to Jenny Expose with notifications turned on so you never miss another exclusive breakdown. Thank you so much for watching, keep your eyes open, and I will see you in the next exposure. Bye, guys.